You know, I've spent a lifetime watching people make the same foolish mistakes with money, and the biggest mistake is confusing wealth with the appearance of wealth. Let me tell you something that might save you decades of regret. The goal isn't to feed your ego, it's to grow your bank account, and these two things, I'm afraid, are often in direct opposition to one another. Now, before we go any deeper, if you find this perspective helpful, do me a favor and subscribe to this channel. We're going to explore some uncomfortable truths about money, status, and what actually leads to a well-lived life. And trust me, you'll want to hear all of it. Let me share with you 4 reasons why keeping a low profile, what some might call looking poor, can actually lead to substantially greater rewards, both financial and psychological. These aren't just theoretical musings. These are observations made from watching hundreds of wealthy people, truly wealthy people, and comparing them to those who merely appear to be wealthy. First, and perhaps most importantly, keeping a low profile frees you from what I call the cycle of permanent dissatisfaction. Now think about your own life for a moment. Really think about it. Whenever you reach a significant milestone, whether it's landing a promotion, buying a better car, or moving to a nicer neighborhood, what happens? Suddenly you're faced with a new set of standards. It's like playing an endless game where someone keeps changing the rules just when you're about to win. You buy an excellent car, and for a moment it feels absolutely amazing. You drive off the lot, and you feel like you're on top of the world. But then what? You notice your friend's car. It's even better. Maybe it's newer, faster, more luxurious, and that initial joy simply vanishes like morning fog. By the way, this isn't just a feeling. It's backed by solid scientific evidence. Researchers have a term for this phenomenon. They call it the hedonic treadmill, and it's exactly what the name suggests. Imagine you're on a treadmill at the gym. No matter how fast you run, no matter how hard you push yourself, you remain in the same place relative to your surroundings. The same thing happens with your happiness. No matter how much more money you earn, no matter how many new things you buy, your overall happiness tends to remain remarkably constant. There was a fascinating study that investigated how people's happiness actually changes with their income level, and what they discovered was surprising. When we have enough money to cover our basic needs, our food, our shelter, our healthcare, having substantially more money doesn't make us significantly happier. We quickly adapt to our new level of wealth. This adaptation means that what once seemed like a major improvement soon becomes the new normal, and then we start wanting even more just to recapture that initial excitement. Think about the last time you upgraded your phone. At first, it was thrilling, testing out all the new features. Everything worked so fast and smooth. But how long did that excitement last? A week? 2 weeks? Before long, you're already thinking about the next upgrade. And the cycle repeats endlessly with almost everything we buy. Of course, it's not just about phones. This happens with cars, houses, clothes, watches, and even social status. And here's what makes it even worse. In our modern era, social media amplifies this pressure exponentially. One report revealed that 39% of people feel pressured by social media to spend more money just to appear successful or happy. Can you imagine? Almost 2 out of every 5 people spend money they might not have on things they might not need to impress people they might not even like. Now here's where it gets really interesting. I've observed that the people most trapped in this vicious cycle are often those earning the most money. You might think that earning $200,000, $300,000, or even $500,000 a year would bring satisfaction, but it doesn't, because the peer group changes. When you earn $50,000, you compare yourself to other people earning $50,000. When you earn $500,000, you suddenly start comparing yourself to people earning millions. The finish line keeps moving further away. I remember a colleague who received a major promotion. His salary more than doubled. He was euphoric for about 3 months. Then he moved to a wealthier neighborhood, bought a bigger house and a luxury car to fit in with his new neighbors. Within a year, he was more stressed about money than when he was earning half as much. Why? Because his expenses had grown even faster than his income. He was running faster and faster on that treadmill, but he wasn't getting anywhere. By choosing to look poor, or let's say by not flaunting your wealth, you're simply stepping off that relentless race. You're saying, I'm not going to buy into this. No pun intended. And the moment you do that, you'll find that the inner peace you gain from making that decision, from not feeling the need to compete with everyone, will bring you much more lasting happiness than staying on that treadmill ever could. Warren and I never understood this compulsion to show the world what you have. Keep your wealth private. Let your bank account speak for you, not your garage. Warren still lives in the house he bought in 1958 for $31,500, not because he can't afford something better, but because that house serves its purpose. It's shelter, it's comfortable. Why does he need more? That money he didn't spend on mansions has compounded, and that's the secret. Now, the second reason why looking poor is actually a sign of intelligence is this: visible wealth eliminates your freedom of choice. And freedom, true freedom, is the ultimate luxury. Let me illustrate this with a story. When young people start working in high-paying professions like banking, law, or consulting, they often fall into the trap of caring about appearances, designer clothes, the latest gadgets, expensive cars, and all the symbols of success. They spend a large portion of their income on things that make them look successful, even though their bank account shows the opposite reality. But nobody can see that side, can they? On the outside, they have everything, but on the inside, they're trapped in a job they don't enjoy, constantly chasing the next purchase, following this formula. Earn money, spend it, and then wait for happiness and freedom to follow. But that's not how it works. It never worked that way. True wealth, real financial security, comes from doing exactly the opposite. It comes from earning money, investing it first in pursuit of financial freedom, and only then spending on other things if there's money left over. This requires a fundamental shift in how you think about money. It requires what I call delayed gratification, and it's perhaps the most important skill anyone can develop. I've seen both sides of this issue. I've seen people who focused on building financial security instead of worrying about appearances. People who made drastic changes to their lifestyle, who reduced their spending on luxuries and wants to almost zero for extended periods. They invested their money in education, in skill development, in learning, reinvesting it in productive assets and in their own capabilities. Here's what's fascinating about this approach. By investing in yourself, in your skills, and in your knowledge, you're creating an asset that nobody can take away from you. A car depreciates the moment you drive it off the lot. A watch doesn't make you more valuable. Designer clothes wear out, but knowledge and skills compound like financial investments. In fact, they often accumulate even faster. I always tell people that the best investment you can make is in yourself. If you can increase your earning power by just 10% through education or skill development, that return will be far greater than almost anything you could get in the stock market. And it's guaranteed. Nobody can crash the market on your personal capabilities. This kind of discipline, this kind of lifestyle shift leads to something extraordinary. It creates the foundation for true freedom. The freedom to turn down a six-figure bonus if the work doesn't fulfill you. The freedom to leave a well-paying job because it no longer serves your goals. The freedom to focus on something you truly love and are passionate about. The freedom to travel when you want, to spend time with family, to pursue interests that matter to you. Having the financial foundation to make choices based on what you want rather than what you need. That's the real luxury. This sense of empowerment, this feeling of liberation, of being able to walk away from something that no longer serves you, completely surpasses the temporary satisfaction you get from a new purchase. Let me give you a concrete example. I knew a man who worked at a job he hated, absolutely despised, but he had bought a house at the upper limit of his budget, had 2 luxury car payments, was a member of a country club, and was paying for private school for his children. He was trapped. He would come to me and complain about the job, the boss, the industry, and I would ask him, "Why don't you leave?" He would look at me like I was crazy. Leave? I can't leave. I have obligations, responsibilities. But in reality, they weren't obligations. Those were choices. Choices he made that imprisoned him. The house, the cars, the memberships, none of that was equity. They were liabilities consuming his freedom. He had built a prison with very high thread count sheets, but it was still a prison. Now compare that to another person I knew, similar income, similar background, but completely different approach. She lived in a modest apartment, drove a 10-year-old car, and avoided expensive habits. People probably thought she was struggling financially, but she was saving more than half her income. Within a few years, she had accumulated enough financial reserves to be able to take a year off and start her own business. She had options. She had freedom. She had built real wealth, not just the appearance of it. When you're trapped in lifestyle inflation, when 40% of your take-home pay goes to the car payment, you can't afford to lose your job. You can't afford to take a break. You can't afford to even consider other opportunities. You're stuck in what I call survival mode. And let me tell you something, living in survival mode is no way to live a full life. Here's something people also don't typically consider. Upgrading one item usually leads to a domino effect of additional expenses. When you buy a luxury car, you don't just pay more initially. The maintenance costs are astronomical. Entry-level brands can have maintenance costs almost 3 times lower over time than luxury brands. Insurance is more expensive. Tires cost more. Everything related to it costs more. So when you make an upgrade, there's a domino effect across all the costs you need to bear just to maintain that item. And it's not just cars. Buy a bigger house. Now you need more furniture to fill it. Higher property taxes, more expensive utility bills, more maintenance, more cleaning. Maybe you need to hire help. A single upgrade can trigger up to 10 additional expenses. Before you know it, you've found yourself locked into a lifestyle that requires every penny you earn just to maintain itself. The bigger the gap you can create between your income and your expenses, the more peace of mind you'll have. The bigger that gap, the more freedom you'll have. It gives you flexibility to take risks, try new things, or simply take time off if you need to. This is the secret that wealthy people understand, but rarely talk about. I've always lived well below my means, not because I'm miserly, but because I value options more than impressing strangers. Every dollar I didn't spend on superficial things was a dollar that could be invested. And those invested dollars worked for me, earned compound interest, multiplied, and ultimately bought me something far more valuable than any luxury good: complete independence. Before we continue, I'd like to ask you something. If you found this perspective valuable, if these ideas made sense to you, click the like button. It helps more people discover this message. And don't forget to subscribe, because we're going to explore more uncomfortable truths about building real wealth, escaping the anxiety of survival mode. The third reason why looking poor is so important is because it takes you completely out of survival mode and allows you to live with true peace of mind. Einstein, one of the greatest minds in human history, once wrote something profound. He said, "A calm and modest life brings more happiness than the pursuit of success, combined with constant restlessness." Einstein understood something most people don't. The pursuit of visible success creates a state of constant anxiety, and we can see this in the data. One study revealed that 72% of Americans feel stressed about their finances. Another report found that 62% of adults feel anxiety about their finances, with 48% worrying about money at least once a week. Once a week. Can you imagine living with that burden? In today's world, a calm and modest life isn't just preferable. It's practically essential for maintaining peace of mind and reducing financial anxiety. When you receive a bonus or a salary increase and immediately upgrade your lifestyle by buying a new car that consumes a large portion of your net salary, you've just locked yourself into a prison of your own making. The psychology behind this is fascinating. When you have high fixed expenses, your brain is constantly in a state of low-level stress. You might not think about it consciously every moment, but it's there, humming in the background. It affects your sleep. It affects your decision-making. It affects your relationships. It affects your health. This constant financial stress is like a slow, dripping poison. I've observed that people with high incomes but equally high expenses are often more stressed than people with modest incomes and modest expenses. Why? Because the person with a modest lifestyle has room to breathe. If something goes wrong, they can adapt. They have options. But someone living at the edge of their income is one unexpected expense, one job loss, or one market downturn away from disaster. And here's something nobody talks about. Stress compounds just like interest does. Financial stress leads to poor decisions. Poor decisions lead to more financial stress. It becomes a vicious cycle. I've seen brilliant people make terrible decisions because they were acting from financial fear rather than from financial security. The more things you accumulate, the more stuck you become in a cycle of survival living. Everything owned becomes a liability. Each upgrade increases your financial fragility. You become a slave to your possessions instead of their master. There's a philosophy that gained popularity about keeping only the things that bring joy to your life. By doing this, you're not just eliminating physical clutter, but also creating space for greater mental clarity and emotional well-being. You can apply this same philosophy to your finances. It's not just about saving money. It's about reducing the stress of maintaining a high-status lifestyle that keeps you trapped in survival mode. Think about it this way. Every possession you own owns a piece of you. It owns your time, your attention, your money, your mental energy. A simple life doesn't mean deprivation. It's about liberation. It's about owning less so that less owns you. The excitement of a new purchase almost always fades quickly, leaving only the anxiety of having to deal with it. The more things you have, the more trapped you become in this survival thinking cycle. You become fragile when you should be developing anti-fragility. You become dependent when you should be building your independence. I've always believed that the best way to predict the future is to look at the incentives. And when you're trapped in survival mode, your incentives are all wrong. You're incentivized to follow the safe path, to avoid risks, to stay quiet, to not make waves. But real wealth, meaningful wealth, often requires taking calculated risks. It requires having the freedom to say no. It requires having options. When Warren and I founded Berkshire Hathaway, we took risks. Calculated risks, yes, but risks nonetheless. We could only do that because we weren't burdened by enormous personal expenses. We had built a cushion. We had the freedom to think long-term, to make decisions based on what was right rather than what was immediately profitable. This freedom of thought, this freedom of action, that's what compound interest in your bank account gives you. The fourth reason, and perhaps the most profound, is the power of an authentic life. A fascinating study revealed that 25% of people admit to having started a romantic relationship purely for financial reasons. And more than half of those people distorted their financial situation to attract a partner. Think about that. Think about building a relationship on a foundation of lies. If you base your self-worth on external validation, on material possessions, On the amount of money you flaunt, you risk attracting people who only value you for superficial characteristics. These relationships, whether romantic, professional, or social, are built on quicksand. They crumble the moment the external trappings disappear. Authenticity is the foundation of lasting relationships. And this idea goes far beyond romantic relationships. It applies to how we present ourselves in virtually every aspect of our lives. There's an old saying that goes, "Don't show the outside of your house, show the inside." The outer appearance is what you show to strangers in an attempt to gain their respect and admiration through your image. In contrast, the inside of your house represents your true self. It's what you share with family and close friends. It's where your genuine values and personality shine through. I've been married to the same woman for decades. You know what attracted her to me? It wasn't money, it wasn't status, it wasn't the car I drove or the clothes I wore. It was ideas, values, character. Those are the foundations of a lasting relationship. And I've also seen the opposite. It's about the inner confidence and security that wealth provides. Many truly wealthy people understand this instinctively. They often choose simplicity over ostentation. They don't make what they own their entire identity because they know that living authentically, valuing the inside over the outer appearance, is a powerful way to build meaningful and resilient relationships. I've met some of the wealthiest people in the world, and you know what? Many of them drive modest cars, wear simple clothes, and live in affordable homes, not because they're cheap, but because they understand something fundamental. The purpose of wealth is not to impress strangers. The purpose of wealth is freedom, security, and the ability to live life on your own terms. When you display your wealth, you attract the wrong kind of attention. You attract people who want something from you. You attract envy and resentment. You become a target. But when you live modestly, when you appear to be poor, so to speak, you're free to build genuine relationships based on who you are, not what you have. I remember reading about a tech billionaire who used to meet with potential business partners and employees at diners and casual restaurants. He drove an old car and wore ordinary clothes. Many people underestimated him, but that was exactly the point. He wanted to see how people treated him when they thought he was nobody special. It revealed their true character, and character, not capability, was what mattered most to him in his partnerships. This filtering mechanism is invaluable. When you don't flaunt your wealth, the people who stick around, who invest time in you, who build relationships with you, do so for the right reasons. They see value in you as a person, not as a wallet. These are the relationships that endure through ups and downs, through good times and bad. And here's another dimension to this. Authenticity reduces cognitive load. When you're always maintaining an image, always taking care of your appearance, always worrying about what others think, it's exhausting. It consumes mental energy that could be spent on productive things. Living authentically, living with simplicity, frees up that mental capacity for what truly matters, the practical wisdom of looking poor. Now let me connect all of this with some practical wisdom. Looking poor, or more precisely, not flaunting your wealth, is a form of intelligent behavior that serves multiple purposes simultaneously. First, it protects you psychologically from the hedonic race. When you're not competing in the visible wealth Olympics, you're free to find satisfaction in what you already have. You're free to appreciate the journey instead of constantly chasing the next achievement. This psychological freedom is worth more than any material possession. Second, it protects your financial freedom. Every dollar you don't spend on status symbols is a dollar that can be invested, that can earn compound interest, that can buy your true freedom in the future. The mathematics of compound interest is extraordinarily powerful, but only if you give it time to work. And it only works with the money you save and invest, not with the money you spend on depreciating assets. Let me give you a specific example of how powerful this can be. If you're 30 years old and decide not to buy a $40,000 car, choosing instead to keep your current reliable vehicle and invest those $40,000 with a reasonable 10% annual return until age 65. That single decision will be worth more than $1 million. One decision, one moment of choosing real wealth over apparent wealth. That's the power of compound interest combined with cutting unnecessary expenses. Third, it protects your mental health. The anxiety of keeping up appearances, of living beyond your means or at the edge of them, is corrosive. It affects your sleep, your relationships, your health, and your decision-making. Peace of mind is worth far more than any luxury car or designer watch. I've seen people's health deteriorate because of financial stress. I've seen relationships destroyed by it. The cost is far too high. Fourth, it attracts the right kind of person into your life. When you're not flaunting wealth, the people who stick around are there because they value you for who you are, not for what you have. These are the relationships that persevere. These are the relationships that bring genuine joy and meaning to life. Thank you for watching. Now go out there and build real wealth, not just the appearance of it. I've seen marriages crumble when the money disappeared. I've seen friendships fall apart when someone could no longer keep up the pace. Those relationships were never real to begin with. There's a quote I've always loved. It says, "If I had 100 million, I would still walk around in old clothes, because the knowledge of it, the awareness of my wealth, would be enough." This perfectly captures the essence of true wealth. It's not about flaunting what you have,